Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Katie Weaver Show. This is Katie. I'm your host. I'm so happy to be here. If you are listening live, I want to welcome you to the show. And if you're listening to an archive or a replay or watching a video later on, I want to welcome you also. I want to let you know that we are over in the chat room, and you can find that by heading over to 12radio.com. Click on the chat button, and you'll be redirected into the Facebook chat. Uh, and you'll see other people chatting there. You'll see my banner at the top of the page. It is a private group, so you'll need to ask for entry, but we'll let you right in the door. So easy enough. I also want to let you know that you can find the live stream of this event if you'd rather watch than listen. And I have a lot of pictures to share with you today, so you really might want to be live. But you can find that by going to YouTube or Facebook and look for Domestic Mystic Katie Weaver. So simple enough. Want to say hi to my chatters coming in. Glad to see you all. Oh my gosh. How's it going? I want to let you know I did also in the chat room, I put a link to watch the show if you wanted to go find it that way. You might notice that 12 Radio is swinging a little bit more towards video and live streaming on or YouTube particularly. So as you know, I've been doing that here alongside of 12 Radio for, oh my gosh, 10 years? Probably close to 10 years. But I'm super excited that a lot of my colleagues are getting on board and doing video too. I think it's fantastic. So glad for it. Yeah, I definitely got a little sun this weekend. I did wear sunscreen. So, you know, I promise I did, but I got lit up a little bit, but it was really sunny. I mean, is that a bad thing? Okay, I know. I know, I know. I have a really fun show planned today. I was thinking a lot about how, and probably this camping trip, created this, but about how magical summer can be. And I'll be honest, even though I'm a Cancer, summer, my body and some of my meds make my body not a fan of the heat. And sometimes I feel like summer is just brutal. And until it's nighttime. And then summer is the most magical time ever, right? But I was thinking about how in the fall, I always light up. This is my time. This is the most spiritual time of year for me. Like, I feel the most connected to my spirit. But why not summer? Why not look a little harder and make a few more plans to really tap the magic of summer in spirituality? So I did some digging and some soul searching, and I put together a episode or an episode of this show and also an edition of Luminous that is all about aligning to the energy of the season and sharing some ideas about how to do that. So we're going to get there and I'm excited for it, but I have a pile of things to share with you. First of all, I wanted to let you know that the bee bowls over on Etsy are back in stock. Several of you guys have asked me if I was ever going to get more of those. I did. Well, not get, but make. They've been made for a minute, but I took them to a fair and well, here we are. So I wanted to share those with you. I love these. They're little bowls. They're like 2 inches across. They're not very big. 3 inches, sorry, 3 inches across. And you put them in your garden and you can put a little water in those to water your pollinators. Plus they have the raised up bits from the marbly things that help create more of a foothold for the little toe beanies, so that they don't drown in there, but that they can get a drink because pollinators need drinks. Also, they're just cute as hell and they're darling in your garden. So I'm going to share them with you. So this is the latest batch. I did a couple that weren't clear this time. Last time they were all from clear glass, but I have a lot of really pretty solid glass, so I decided to do a few that weren't. And I really like how they turned out. I think these daisies are cute as hell. That's a pretty purple one. Plus, my flowers are planted, so I was able to photograph them in my flower beds, so that made me happy too. This is actually in a big whiskey barrel that Mars planted. And that's what they look like from a side view. They're just on a little metal stake that you just poke in wherever you want, and that's what they are. So those are over on Etsy. I'm going to share a link so that you can visit that if you want to. You can also just find them by going over to, yeah, the bowls come on the stick. Yes, Sid. By just going over to Etsy and looking for Joyful Goddess Designs. I'll tell you something about Etsy. It's really hard to find a seller on Etsy. Why? I don't know. I think that's really dumb, but I don't rule the world. It's easier if you're looking for my store to go to Google and just type in Joyful Goddess Designs Etsy, and you'll go straight there. So make that make any sense. You can't. But they're right there. So if you're interested, that's where to find them. That's probably the only new glass that I'm going to post this month, which is crazy. But so many fairs. We had a fair last weekend that we mostly got rained out of, but I did sell a few things. We have another event on Saturday morning. We have several things coming up. So I'm kind of balancing how much I put on Etsy versus I have ready for fairs. And I don't know. I don't know what the magic formula is. I'm just feeling my way down a dark hallway. but but I'm doing the best I can. Okay. So I have pictures to share for several incarnations. I forgot last week that I wanted to share some pictures of the chicks, so I have some pictures of them now, but we're going to start with the camping trip. So this is a selfie of me and Bruno in the car on our way out. As you can see, he's excited to be a camping man. My dogs love to camp. Love it. This camping trip is interesting. There's not a worry of them getting ran over because we're the only ones there. It's the space that cars don't come into unless they are coming specifically to us. So I'm less worried about cars, but we camp directly under a giant cottonwood that has a nest of hawks in it every year. We've camped here on Memorial Day for, I would say, close to 20 years, every year. And every single year, this nest is here. A few years ago, there was a really bad storm that took out one of the cottonwoods. There were two together. One of them fell and took out the bridge, made a hell of a mess. But and it took out the original nest, but never fear, those hawks just rebuilt another nest in a big hurry. So they're always there. And I know they're red-tailed hawks. They're not enormous, but I still worry about my tiny dogs. Bruno's my only tiny guy now, but I still worry. So they're still mostly kept on leashes, just, out of safety. And in fact, we had an incident this weekend that really punctuates, well, just the safety aspect. And this was nobody's fault, but my sister's basset hound, Cooper. She got a basset hound a few months after we got Nellie. And Cooper and Nellie are very different in their body builds. There's actually different types of bassets, and they're clearly from different basset families because Nell is more slight. Cooper is a barrel. He is thick and thick boned and heavy and dense and a funny, funny dog. But his best friend is a black or a brown lab. There was another hound there that those dogs were getting in the canal and swimming, and it was fine. But kind of out of nowhere, Cooper started crying like something was wrong. And people ran over to the bridge, and sure enough, Cooper was kind of trapped under the bridge and couldn't get out. It initially looked like he was drowning. It was an emergency because he couldn't get out. But luckily he was safe-ish. He kind of got himself to a spot where he could had his front paws on. His head was above water, but he couldn't get out. And so he was, crying his little doggy eyes out. So Micah came running from the other side of camp because everyone's yelling that Cooper's drowning. And poor Micah is running as hard as he can, tearing off his hoodie, throwing his phone, his vape, his sunglasses, his hat as he's going. Throws himself under the cables of the bridge into the canal and saves Cooper. But in the meantime, the cables on the bridge scratched the hell out of his back and his arm. So that sucked. But Micah was the hero. He saved poor Cooper. And then by God, all weekend long, Cooper kept trying to get back in there. And this is not a little canal. It's a big, deep, fast canal that you don't want your dogs in. Those bigger dogs, they do what they do. But my dogs aren't ever allowed in there. Cooper shouldn't have been allowed in there. Nobody meant to let him in there. But no more swimming for Coop. But that was a little terrifying. Anyway, I have pictures of Micah scratches, but I didn't know if he wanted his naked back all over the internet. So, but anyway, this is me and Bruno. And yes, I do have two pairs of glasses on. Because as I was walking out the door, I realized I brought no reading glasses. And, what if I wanted to read? What if I wanted to play a game and actually see things? We did our customary painting of rocks. One of the things that we do, so the land we camp on belongs to an aunt and uncle. So it's family land. They are just generous and kind enough to let us camp there every Memorial season, partly because there is the cemetery that our parents are buried in is just right up the hill from this spot. In fact, the cemetery my parents are buried in was donated to this county, more than 100 years ago, and it was part of their farmland. And they still own and run the rest of the farmland. Sometimes they don't run it, but they own it, right? And the whole family homestead is right here. So they have this piece of land that has two canals that run along it, so it's not really farmable, but it is beautiful and full of all kinds of trees. There's always wild onions growing. There's deer in there a lot of times. It's just this phenomenal place. So one of the things that we do, we always try to leave it better than we found it. So, of course, clean up all the trash. Sometimes we cut down some of the fallen trees and cut them up and add them to the wood pile. Just anything we can do to make it a little better. But one thing that we do every year that we think is fun, there's a big fire pit and there's a lot of rocks that run along the outside of it. And we always paint the rocks. Not all of them, but we paint some of the rocks and put them back so that every year there's rocks that we painted. And some years they hold up for a couple of years, some years they don't. But I was going to share our rock paintings this year. I painted this one. I also brought rhinestones for the rocks this year's because for some reason I thought they needed to be bedazzled. I painted that one too. This is Aunt Sue's. She had an idea that we should paint campers that like the old style campers, and I thought that was such a cute idea. That is Kara's. Matea painted this darling bouquet of lavender. Didn't that turn out pretty? Matt is so gifted artistically, and she doesn't like know it or give herself credit for it, but she is amazing. Kara also painted that one. Christy painted this. She wasn't happy with it. She didn't like the way the middle turned out, but we lovingly named it the accidental labia butterfly for obvious reasons. I think Aunt Sue painted this one. She did. Mars painted that one. More of a Matea. My niece Mia painted this beautiful koi. And that's it. So that's all of our rocks. We just had so much fun. It's painting the rocks is like it's a tradition that we've done also for a lot of years, and it's just fun every year to talk about, okay, who's bringing what are we doing with the rocks this year? It's just part of, the tradition of the trip. I wanted to share pictures of the piggies. This is Zig out in his piggy pile. This is the outdoor pile where he works on piling up. You can kind of see it's taller than you think. This picture doesn't reflect it super well, but this is the pile of sticks and leaves and mostly pine cone needles or pine needles and anything else he can find outside to build up his big pile. So Zig spends the entire summer working on this, making it bigger, moving stuff around, rooting around and taking care of it, and then laying in the pile most of the day. This is back under our pine trees where you never have full sunlight. It's dappled at best. So it stays shady and cool even on the hottest days. And this is Zig's happiest of happy places. And Fiona, I snuck a little pic of her this morning out in the yard. She is so funny. If she sees a camera come out, this is what she does every time. I can't ever, unless I sneak up, I can't ever get like a good side shot of her doing anything else because she's a poser. If she sees you with a camera, she comes right up and sticks her nose up to show you what she's got. And the chicks. So this is the chicks out in their first outdoor pen. So we moved them to an outdoor pen mid last week because they were way outgrowing their indoor pen or their well in the garage pen, not indoor, but um their ultimate pen is out in the pasture. They'll have a big pen in the barn with a huge run outside that will be perfect for them, but we can't have there's no electricity out there and I'm not running a light that far. So, they're in a littler pen in the backyard for now where we can keep a light on them cuz it's still getting down into the 30s at night, so they're still pretty little, so, chicks chicks love to die. They do. I hate to say it, but they just give them any reason, right? So they got to have that heat for a while longer. And I took this one because I wanted to show you in the corner. You can see a little darker bird with the striped heads. Those are the guineas. And guineas are scared. They are the chickeniest birds ever. So when we first put them out into the barn, they hovered in the corner for 2 days before they even went outside. And then the first day that they did go outside, they couldn't figure out how to go back in. And at bedtime, Scott went out to check and make sure everybody had gone back in, and they had not, and he had to chase them back in. They just, they're not the brightest birds, but if you can keep them going, by the time they're adults, they are just the cutest, funniest birds in the world. But anyway, the guineas just always need a little bit extra. And that's them from the inside of their run, from the inside of their little barn. So that's what's up with that. I also wanted to share a couple of pictures of the hawks. So the hawks had two babies this year. Sometimes they have a few more than that, but it was two this year. Oh, Facebook. I don't. Facebook is pulling a dirty deal. I don't know. If you don't do the kind of work I do, you might not know, but for some reason, their pictures now, if you like save something in Messenger, the pictures are downloading not as like a JPEG or a PNG anymore. They're a JFF. And a lot of programs don't recognize the JFF, so you have to go back in and resave them, which I just think is really irritating. Or JFIF, sorry. I really don't know why it has to be this way, Facebook. You need to get it together. I know. I know Mark Zuckerberg watches my show, so that's why I'm saying that. Jokes, of course. Okay, here we go. And I was so prepared today, too. Rude. All right. Well, here's one of the babies. Even the babies were bigger this year. We've had a really mild spring, and they must have laid a little bit earlier because they're usually just little puffballs still when we're up there. But this is one of the babies screaming and yelling. It is a wild thing to watch the parents. I mean, they, hover over us screaming all weekend, and that hawk call is it's kind of ominous. But the babies, what they bring into the babies is mostly snakes. And so you'll see the parents swoop in with these big, long, like water snakes or garter snakes hanging out of their mouths, and they'll circle around for a little bit and then they'll land in there. When they land with that snake, they just drop it off and leave. Like it's instantaneous. They just drop it to the babies and off they go. and the babies just go crazy. You can hear them up there shrieking and peeping and going nuts while they just rip that snake to ribbons. But also, we joked about what would happen if they dropped the snake as it came over top of you. How inside out would you come if a snake dropped out of the sky from 50 feet or so and landed on you? I'm not afraid of snakes, but I would come unglued at that. Yeah. And that's a shot of both of them in the nest. Yeah, they're just so cool. Love them. Jane said, "Who takes care of your pigs while you're away?" It depends. When we camp, Scott usually just comes back and forth. He usually sleeps at home because the camper bed is real tough on his back. So unless we camp like really far away, he usually just comes home at night so that he can feed him at night and feed him breakfast in the morning and then come back to camp. But if we're not home, we have a dear friend, Grace, who was one of Scott's softball girls and also one of Mars's good friends growing up. And her mom is a super good friend of ours. So a good friend of the family who comes over and feeds them. The thing is with pigs, you can't feed them in advance because they will eat it all immediately because that's what pigs do. But also they have to be fed twice a day and fairly close to their regular routine because pigs can have low blood sugar incidents. I've never seen one of my pigs have a low blood sugar, but we're not messing around. But also, they have a pretty good timer inside of their belly, and so they know damn well when it's time to eat. So about 8 a.m. and about 8 p.m. or somewhere whereabouts, they need to be fed. So yeah, and then if Grace isn't around either, we have a niece that we call. So yep, but they have to be fed and have eyes laid upon them twice a day. And right now, of course, the chicks also need some pretty constant care and supervision as well. But yeah. Jane said Fiona's a little ham for the camera. I like it. Yes. Sid said, is the sound that guineas make louder than chickens? Yes. Guineas make the coolest sound. I can't wait till they start making it and I'll make a video so you guys can hear it. You could look it up too, I'm sure, but it's kind of a trilling sound. And if one makes it, they all make it. It's cool. I should look it up. Like, I would be interested to know, like, do they have a special voice box? Or, like, is there something in their voice box that helps them create that sound? Because it's something unlike what you've heard before. It's pretty neat. They're good tick eradicators. Yeah, they are. I know. I don't know why people don't like guineas. They are so funny. I adore them. But, you know, people are weird. But I know a lot of people around here hate the crows and they hate the magpies. Like, what? The farmers around here absolutely hate magpies. They'll kill them. I don't get it. They're beautiful. And I mean, they make the noise they make. They're not songbirds. But speaking of songbirds, though, I walked out the back door this morning and I could hear these birds. At first, I was afraid that we had some chicks out because I could hear this high-pitched peeping. Anyway, it wasn't them. There is apparently a nest of yellow finches up in our pine trees. We could see them flitting back and forth and just carrying on. So they must have a nest of babies up there. So cute. Hopefully the crows don't eat them. Nature, man, it's brutal. Anyway, that's what's going on around here. But let's get into our topic and get into Luminous. So Luminous, of course, is the magazine that I publish with some help from my friends here in the 1-2 world. And if you subscribe, you received it earlier this morning. If you don't, if you just go to either live stream, or particularly the YouTube live stream, there's a link in there that you can subscribe to my email list. And if you do that, what you're going to receive is the Daily Dish, which is the daily email I send out. It comes out every single morning, 365. And it's just a very quick daily message, what to expect today, kind of an energy read. Sometimes it's a warning, sometimes it's a pep talk. I'm not in charge. I just write what I'm told. And so it's always a little different. And then, of course, every Tuesday, you'll also receive Luminous in your email. So I called the magazine this week The Summer Shift, Aligning Your Energy with the Season, because that's what we're going to do. Okay. And some of you, summer is probably more sacred for you, but I still think that maybe we can share some ideas about how to open up your spirituality to summer energy. Thank you, Tara. She said she loves the daily message. I have been doing the daily message now for, I believe, 7 years. So if you consider 7 years, 365 messages a year, and then add, of course, once a week from the Luminous, man, I've been sending out a whole lot of emails. Luckily, I have a program that condenses that for me, of course, but it adds up. There's a lot of stuff in there, a lot of work over the years. And I love it too. The daily dish is, it's as good for me as it is for you guys because obviously I am a professional psychic advisor on a psychic hotline and I love the daily dish because it helps me to kind of keep a finger on the pulse of what's up. And I'll tell you, sometimes the daily dish, I wouldn't say scares me, but gives me a big heads up like, ooh, you're probably going to talk to some people that are having a hard day. And I'll tell you, very frequently, that's exactly what goes on. All right, let's get back to the article. So, first of all, looking at nature as your sacred playground. Make a pact with yourself right now for the summer. I will go outside more. That could be morning or night. You don't have to be out in the dead of the heat if you can't do it. If you're a wuss like me. But, and some of you guys walk your pets and stuff and you are outside more. I will admit that I can hole up in the house a lot and have to really make myself go out more often. And I don't know how it is for you guys, but I think making a pact with yourself that you'll just go outside more in general is a good idea. I think about our ancestors who their homes were their shelter, right? They whatever shelter they had to stay alive, but they spent a bulk of their time outside working and taking care of things and surviving. And we sit in our posh little houses and apartments and whatever spaces we have, and we don't have to do that. And so a lot of times we don't. But how much is your spirit missing the connection to the earth that you're not giving it? Especially because a lot of people, their jobs keep them inside for 8 to 10 hours a day, and also then you're inside your car driving and you keep the windows rolled up with the AC on, and it's everything is so artificial. So the idea for me of spending more time truly outside is compelling. I think it's a good goal. Yeah. Right. Jane said total homebody too. Too peoply and noisy outside. I know. We got to find our happy places though, right? I mean, I have plenty of them, but I'm okay. One of our friends came up to camp this weekend, Jane, on that note, to visit, and he had on a t-shirt that it looked like a Yelp review kind of. It was the stars. This was 1 out of 5 stars. And the topic was people. Terrible experience. Would not recommend. I thought that was so funny. And yeah, yes, to all of that. Anyway, so here's some ideas for your connection to nature. Plan a sacred solo hike or just walk around the park or your yard. No headphones, no distractions. Just listen to the trees, ask questions, wait for answers, listen to the birds, breathe the fresh air. Just be very present. with where you are. Make a plan to visit a waterfall, a river, or a natural spring and do a small blessing to the water. How? You decide. And maybe gather a little water to bring home with you too. Some sacred water. Camp under the stars. Or if camping under the stars isn't your jam, maybe it's just in your backyard until bedtime. But sit under the stars. Maybe build a fire, pull a few cards. Feel connected to the cosmos. Host a nature scavenger hunt with kids or friends or just yourself. What if you just were headed to the park and you made a plan? I'm going to find feathers. I'm going to find rocks. I'm going to find some kind of an herb or flower, other natural altar treasures, but have a plan of things that you're watching for or looking for. If you're a rock hound, or if you're a bird, you know, aficionado, I wish I was. I wish, I mean, I can tell you the names of some very basic birds. I wish I could be like, well, that's a golden warbler, or I don't know. I don't even know if that's a bird. But I wish I was a bird watcher that knew more things. I don't. Maybe someday I will. But have a plan of things that you're looking for that you want to bring back to your space. Tapping into the moon and the sun. For tapping into lunar power, plan a full moon fire ceremony. Write down what you're releasing and toss it into the flames. You can also just do this if you don't have a fire pit. Just use a fireproof bowl or something along those lines. You can sometimes buy a little fire bowl that's specifically for things like that. Swim or bathe in the moonlight. Bonus points if you're naked in a safe place. If you have ever had the pleasure of being able to do that, to actually be naked in a body of water like that, it's an amazing experience. Um, if it's skinny dipping you for you, that's fine. For me personally, it's chunky dunking, but that's up to you and who you are. It doesn't matter. There is hot springs way out in the middle of nowhere that very few people even know exists. And Scott and I went there several years ago, and there was absolutely nobody around. And I was able to just do that, to take off all of my clothes and get in this pool. And it was the most magical, mystical experience. I've thought a lot about that and wanting to go back because the feeling of your deep connection to that place, there's just something different about it. But it's fine. Wear clothes. Who cares? Don't go to jail over it. Track your emotional cycles along with the moon phases. Get to know how you and the moon get along. You thriving during the full moon and flat as a pancake during the new? Or vice versa? Are you more emotional? Are you more in tune with your spirit? Do you hate the moons because they mess around with you? Or do you not really react to lunar energy at all? Everybody's different. It has to do with your chart as well as just your empathy and just who you are. For solar energy, create a sun water elixir. Now we've created moon water, but have you ever created sun water? Leave water in a clear jar in the sun for a few hours. Use it for energy boosting spells or for cleansing. You could also use it to water your plants. Make a jar of sun tea. This is one of my favorite things to do in the summer. My mom used to do this. I love doing it too. You're going to take some tea in a big clean jar. I used to use a pickle jar. Now I use like a half-gallon mason jar, but get a big clean clear jar. Put your tea bags in. That's up to you to decide how many you want to use. I use quite a few because I want my tea to be, drinkably strong. A fruit tea is really nice for this. I love mint tea for this. Minty, sun tea. Oh, I love it. Okay. And then you're going to just take that jar with your tea bags and your water, obviously, and put a lid on it. And you're just going to sit it out in the sun all day. And when your tea gets to be about the color that you want it, obviously you might have to taste it, play with it, know your tea, know your likes. Bring it in, strain out or pull your tea bags. You can usually just do that with a spoon so that you can just leave the rest of your tea alone. And then put it in the fridge. And tomorrow, or today, if you want to pour it over a little ice, you'll have a nice, cold, beautiful tea that you made in the sunshine. There's just something really magical about that. Sweeten it as you will, or don't. That's how you do it. Oh, Laura said there's a yellow rump warbler. Well, there you go. Charge your tools or altar items in sunlight to amplify their power. We talk a lot about clearing your stuff in the moonlight, right? But did you know that you can charge your stuff in the sunlight? That's a great way to do it. A really easy way to do it. Do a sun salutation yoga flow at dawn, or just sit with the rising sun in meditation. But getting up early enough to rise with the sun is a pretty amazing experience all in itself. Summer solstice is coming up in about 4 weeks. So it's a good time right now to start thinking about what do you want to do with summer solstice. It always feels to me like the solstices and the equinoxes come up on us quick. And perhaps you haven't had a chance to think about how you want to celebrate it. So summer solstice is a biggie, right? So this is a time to pause and reflect, redirect. You can celebrate it with a lot of different ways. What if you hosted a golden potluck? Everyone brings sun-colored food. That's such a fun idea to me. Everything has to be yellow in some way. What would people bring? They'd get creative. It would be interesting. Create a sun mandala with herbs, stones, and petals. You could do that with some Mod Podge on just even a round that you bought from the dollar store or on a piece of cardboard or whatever. You could actually like dig out a little spot in your yard and get stones and make a real like mandala in your yard. You could do it a lot of different ways. That would be totally up to you. Write a letter to your higher self and bury it in the earth or offer it to a stream with your hopes and dreams and wishes, your encouragements, maybe some of your sadnesses that you want to go ahead and put to bed. Totally up to you. How about some adventures for the summer? This is the time. Get your plans made because the summer will run away from you faster than you think. It always does. How about visit a labyrinth or a sacred site? Walk slowly, set intentions, and let your steps become a moving meditation. There's sacred sites everywhere, I promise. And just because no one else calls them a sacred site doesn't mean they're not a sacred site to you. There's a spot on the desert, not too far from where I live, where there's ancient cairns stacked up all over the place. I haven't shared these with you guys in a long time, but maybe I'll talk Scott into taking me out on the desert soon and I'll get some new footage of them. But they're amazing, and the energy of them is amazing. There's a lot of arguments about why they're there. Some people claim this was just they're just sheep herders that stack these up to mark where they put sheep. Other people think that some of them maybe were that, but some of them were actually put there by nomadic Native Americans that used to come directly through that space. And other reasons that other people, think that some of them might be there, but some of them are very, very old. And the energy around them is amazing. That's a sacred site for me locally. But again, I always think about sacred sites. You think about like sacred wells in Europe or the amazing places in Sedona or something like that. But seriously, it's a sacred site if it feels sacred to you. So think about what feels sacred to you and do that. How about a metaphysical road trip? Take a ride. Visit spiritual bookstores, rock shops, vortexes, healing hot springs. Make a whole weekend of it. Ghost towns. To me, that's a part of the metaphysical trip. Cemeteries. Hell, you could do a whole weekend of just a cemetery tour. You know I would. I've done it. I'd be down to go right now. Take a night walk and practice deep listening. What animals are active? What whispers in the dark? Explore a new spiritual practice. Sound baths in the park, outdoor breath work, fire spinning or flow arts, or just trying out something new. A drum circle. It's a great one. There are people doing things. If you haven't found them in your area, keep looking. If you don't know where to look, look for a local metaphysical store and ask them. They will know what's going on. If you don't have a local metaphysical store, look for things like Unity churches or yoga shop or yoga studios, things like that. You will find your people and you'll discover that there's more metaphysical type stuff going on in your community than you knew. People just tend to keep that kind of stuff under wraps a little bit more. Not as bad as it used to be, but if you think that there's nothing like that where you live, I would beg to differ. But I will also say if there's nothing like that where you live, why not you? You could start something. You could invite a few people that might resonate with it. You could do it too. Try foraging for herbs or edible plants responsibly and respectfully. Always say thank you. Never hurts to leave a little offering. Learn what your local land wants to offer. And as you know, Scott and I forage quite a bit in the spring and in the summer and fall. But there's something really cool about being able to forage for something that you can eat or an herb that you can dry and use year round. Even just to gather some flowers to put on your own table. But connecting to the earth that way, there's something there. Host a moonlit picnic with witchy friends. Everyone brings a ritual, a poem, or a spell to share. You can also do a metaphysical swap and tell everybody to bring a metaphysical tool or a deck of cards or something like that that they don't really use anymore or would love to share with someone else and lay out a table and let people add something and take something. That is super fun. That's a fun way to get a new deck of cards or even a crystal or something. That's a cool thing. Okay, how about your altar? If you don't have an altar, consider having an altar. It doesn't have to be like so witchy that you're, afraid of it or something. I don't know. Are you? Maybe not. But but an altar is a reflection of you and it's a reflection of your spirituality. So, if you're thinking about updating your altar to reflect summer, think about sunflowers, lavender, calendula, rose petals, citrine, carnelian, sunstone, seashells, feathers, pressed leaves, a bowl of water to represent emotional balance and the flow in your life, an item from a summer adventure, maybe a pine cone or a special rock that you found or a note to yourself about an experience. But there's lots of things you can add to your altar that represent the season that you're in and also represent the way you are tapping into the energy of summer to help build you up and help to strengthen your own spirituality. So this summer, don't just do things, feel them. Don't just go to places, bless them. Don't just chase joy, create joy. You're allowed to live a magical life, and summer is one of the best seasons to remember exactly how. There's going to be adventures this summer, and I'm going to share them with you on my end, but I hope to hear about yours as well. Kelly's article this week is about the real color of the US flag. Very interesting article. Kelly never ceases to amaze me with her thinking outside of the box skills as well as just her ability to research and put things together. Be sure that you read her article. I think it's very interesting and eye-opening. All right, my tip this week is the summer candle spell to commune with the elementals. 'Tis the season. And this is a great time to do a summer candle spell. So let's talk about it. So what you will need, you're going to need a candle in a color that represents summer to you. Gold, green, sky blue, or orange. If you really wanted to, you could do a combo, right? And have multiple candles. Nothing wrong with that. You're going to need a pinch or a small bowl of water, a pinch of soil, sand, or salt. You'll want a feather or incense to represent air. You'll want a safe spot outside or near an open window, a sunset safe spot, meaning, you'd be a little in the shade. Don't go outside and fry yourself. Optionally, you might want to bring a small crystal or offering for each element. All right, here's the spell. And do this at a time that feels aligned to you. If dusk is perfect for you, great. If dawn is perfect, great. I discovered something kind of interesting this weekend. We always, take the opportunity while we're camping to go up to the cemetery and put flowers out for my folks and our baby brother and our grandma and an uncle and, all our family that's there, great grandma and whatnot. And we usually go before Memorial Day, just sometime that weekend, but before Memorial Day when a lot of people visit the graves because, you want the graves to look nice. We went 2 weeks ago with Scott and I and Mars and my Aunt Sue. We went out with scrub brushes and a weed eater and, all the things and really cleaned the graves up nice. It, and by God, the birds had already shit all over those headstones when we got there this time. Like, really? Really? Anyway, it's fine. It's probably fine. But we had so much going on and so many visitors and stuff that we didn't make it until Sunday night. It was like getting to be dusk, and we decided let's just go at dusk. We've never done that before. So we went up Sunday night at dusk, and you guys, I should have taken some pictures. It was just kind of dark, and I didn't know if they'd turn out, but that was the most beautiful place I had ever seen. So many of the graves have some kind of a solar light or lantern that, families have added, and they were just twinkling all the way across that cemetery, and already so many flowers out, and the whole place was just really beautified. But to be there at that time of night was amazing. That's now the only time I'll be willing to go because it was amazing. But anyway, that's an aside. Back to the spell. So, dusk, dawn, midday, you decide what time of day is perfect for you that you align with. Place the objects around you in a circle and around the candle. So you want water to the west. And if you don't know, you can pull up a compass on your phone so that you know if you're not great on directions. I'm not. I am a left right girl. If you tell me to go west, we're never getting there. We're not. And I know that's ridiculous, but I missed out in fourth grade apparently when we learned that, and I still don't know. The soil to the north, feather or incense to the east, and let the candle burn in the south for fire. And speak aloud or in your heart. Spirits of flame, of stream, of breeze, of stone, I call with respect from my flesh and bone. Summer sun above, warm earth below, elementals gather, let our knowing grow. Wind whisper truth with wings unseen, water flow with what has been. Fire ignite my soul's clear sight, earth root me deep in magic and might. By candle flame and sky so wide, I open my heart, I cast ego aside. With love and trust I now invite elemental spirits into the light. And then pause and let yourself feel each element. So we're tapping into the actual elements to invite the elementals in, if that's not clear. You may notice a shift, a breeze, a tingling on your skin. Years ago, we were in Sedona, and we were actually indoor at the time in the house we were renting, but I cast a circle, and there was a huge gust of wind that blew the back door wide open just as I cast the air. It was an amazing thing. It startled everybody. But that's you sometimes do notice something, a shift in the breeze or a tingling or a sound in the leaves. You don't have to see the elementals to know that they're hanging around. Leave a small offering if you feel called. Herbs, honey, a song, a promise to tend the land, a bit of whiskey, whatever you feel like leaving. And then thank them. To all that is wild, wise, and free, I thank you for being with me. Our paths have crossed under summer skies. Now I release you with grateful eyes. And when you feel like you're ready, blow out your candle or let it burn safely down until the spell feels complete. And then watch and see what happens. That's a great way just to connect in that spot so that you can feel the energy of the elementals. We're not nearly as alone in this world as we think we are. Christie's Kindred Spirits Energy Oracle reading this week is conflict and how to work through conflict and benefit from conflict, believe it or not. So you can watch her video here. They're very short. They're less than 5 minutes, usually 2 or 3 minutes, and it's just a great reminder and message. Lots of crime over at True Crime Squad. Believe it or not, Lori Vallow's last trial is starting on Monday. And we will finally be done litigating this fool. Except for all of the appeals, of course, but good lord. Over at Fidget Whimsy, and this is Christie's website, and I wanted to share it with you guys because she's doing the funnest thing. She has been printing animals, and the animals that she's printing, she's giving you the option. Actually, let me just do this. I'm going to share the screen. She's figured out how to print animals upon request. So, for example, if you want a dog that looks like your dog, you can actually send her a picture and she can print it. She'll do it's called painting, but it's like digital painting to be able to try to get as close as she can to your markings, which is pretty fun. She has all kinds of super fun things over there. Lots of little sets. Look at the Highland cow. They're so cute. And the peacock, I think, is so damn cute. Anyway, she's got a lot of options and things that you can order from her. But again, the custom fidgets I think are really fun. So this is where you do that. So you can get the custom dog fidgets here, custom cat fidget, custom small pet fidget. And basically it's just, communicating with her to talk about what you want that to look like so that she can create something for you that looks like your pet or maybe a past pet that you would just love to have a little print of. So that's how it works. But at any rate, she's got some fun stuff going on over there. All right, let's get back to Luminous. Okay. Jamie Dawn has Gemini season. We're in Gemini season. Does that scare you at all? I don't know. I mean, am I crazy? I think Geminis are a tough sign. I have Geminis in my world that I love so much, but I think it's a tough one. Maybe I'm crazy. If you're a Gemini, please don't let me offend you. Or maybe you're nodding along, you know exactly what I'm talking about, but Geminis are wild ones. They just are. And then, of course, lots of meditations over at Planet Meditation. And that is Luminous this week. So I'm curious to know, like, what are you guys doing to celebrate the summer energy and also to tune that in with your spirituality? I would love to hear. what you do, how that works for you. I want to remind you, of course, that I am a professional psychic advisor over at one2listen.com, and you can find me over there every day. I am over there 365, and I'm happy to help. So I can help you with a psychic reading, with some energy work. I do a lot of energy work over there, animal communication, mediumship. I'll do whatever I can to help. Um, if you go to listen and I'm not there and you need me, just do a callback request when you or a scheduled call to pick a time that's perfect for you. And if it doesn't work for me, I'll get back with you and we'll work it out together to find a time that works for both of us. But you can just do a callback request, and then I'll get a text that says, "Hey, user so and so is waiting for you." And then I'll do everything I can to get to a spot where I can sign in and take that call. So that's how you do it. And if you're not a talker on the phone kind of guy, do a chat. I'm almost always signed into chat, and that is super easy. It's kind of like it's just instant messaging, you know, and we can talk together that way. That works out really well. I have some people that I have literally been working with for years at Listen who I have never spoken to on the phone because they like chat better. And that's totally fine. Sometimes I have people that chat me from work where there's something going on and they need some guidance, but they can't really call. Hell, I've had people chat me sitting across the living room from their husband about their husband. See, it works. At any rate, there's lots of ways to connect. You can also do an email reading. I have a one question, a typed out reading or a video reading if you'd rather just receive a video response, kind of like this. So that's a great way to connect with me as well. So at any rate, I am here to serve and happy to do so. So come find me over at one2listen.com if I can help you out. And again, it's number one, number two, listen.com. And you just look for me, Katie Weaver. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, we've done it. That's what we've got time for today. So, thanks you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you immensely. I love you. You are a part of my extended family. I hope you know that. Please let me know if I can help you in any way. And have some fun. Think about summer. Make some plans. My wheels are turning about some places that I want to go. Poor Scott. I'll let him know. Oh gosh. Have a good one, you guys. Take good care of yourselves. You sure deserve it. This has been yet another edition of the Katie Weaver Show here on 1 2 Radio, where we're changing the way you listen to the world.